Good evening and welcome to State of Business on Art Television. I am Tamiru Nimsa. Let's have a look at the headlines. World Bank ups Sri Lanka's growth projection. President gives directives to allocate government land for farmers. News in detail. President Anukumara Dissanayake has instructed officials to allocate 11,000 acres of land owned by the Kantale Sugar Company to farmers for short-term crop cultivation. The President said this during a meeting with key officials from several ministries held at the Presidential Secretariat yesterday. The President emphasized that each farmer would be provided with land plots not exceeding 5 acres and stressed the need for a structured mechanism to ensure fair and efficient distribution of these lands. The meeting, attended by officials from the Ministries of Agriculture, Lands, Livestock, Irrigation, Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, reviewed the performance and progress of these sectors, with President Dissanayake overseeing future strategies as the minister in charge. Secretary to the Minister of Agriculture, Lands, Livestock, Irrigation, Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, MP N.M. Wickramasinghe, and Director General of the Land Commission, Hemasiri Liyanaki, along with other senior officials, were present to discuss the implementation of this initiative. The World Bank has significantly raised Sri Lanka's economic growth projection for 2024, now anticipating a 4.4% expansion, double its early estimate of 2.2%. This optimistic outlook is driven by the improvements in the industrial and tourism sectors, along with critical structural reforms. The World Bank cautioned that the recovery remains fragile and hinges on sustained macroeconomic stability, successful debt restructuring, and the continuation of reforms to ensure long-term growth. In 2025, growth is expected to slow to 3.5% as lingering effects of the previous economic crisis are still felt. The biannual report, titled Opening Up to the Future, highlights the persistence of high poverty rates projected to remain about 20% until 2026, as well as key challenges like food insecurity, financial vulnerabilities, and labor market issues. Inflation is predicted to stay below the central bank's 5% target but may rise gradually as demand grows. On the positive side, the current account is expected to remain in surplus, fueled by strong tourism revenues and remittances. The World Bank emphasized the need for structural reforms to boost exports, attract foreign investment, and increase female labor force participation to foster inclusive and sustainable growth. Addressing poverty and other social and financial challenges will be crucial to ensuring long-term resilience in Sri Lanka's economic recovery. Sri Lanka's untapped export potential has surged to an estimated $10 billion annually, according to the World Bank's latest Sri Lanka development update. This untapped potential, if fully realized, could significantly boost the country's economy by creating over 142,000 new jobs and generating substantial net inflows. World Bank Group Country Manager for Sri Lanka, Jivot Sadsian, emphasized that tapping this potential is critical for Sri Lanka's sustainable recovery at a press conference held in Colombo yesterday. He pointed to sectors like tourism, which remains largely underutilized, as key areas where reforms and strategic investments could create significant economic benefits. These products demonstrate a high revealed comparative advantage in global markets, offering substantial opportunities for value chain development and expansion. However, to seize these opportunities, Sri Lanka must address several structural barriers such as policy uncertainty, a complicated tariff regime, and an over-reliance on a limited range of exports. Low investment in value-added sectors, especially tourism and machinery, further limits the country's export diversification and growth prospects. The World Bank recommends urgent reforms, including the implementation of a national single window to simplify trade processes and overhauling the foreign direct investment regime through the Economic Transformation Act. Stay tuned. We will return after this short commercial break. Welcome back after the break. In a boost to Sri Lanka's maritime security, the US Navy has officially handed over a state-of-the-art Beechcraft King Air 360ER aircraft to the Sri Lanka Air Force. The ceremony, held at the Sri Lanka Air Force Base in Katunayake, was presided over by the commander of the US Pacific Fleet, Steve Kohler, and the Secretary to the Ministry of Defense, Sampath Tuyakonta. The event was also attended by key figures including US Ambassador Julie Chang and Commander of the SLAF, Air Marshal Uddayani Rajapaksa. The Beechcraft King Air 360ER is set to significantly enhance Sri Lanka's capabilities to patrol its waters, safeguard vital trade routes, and combat maritime threats such as smuggling, illegal fishing, and human trafficking. US Ambassador Julie Chang underscored the importance of collective maritime security in the Indo-Pacific region, while Admiral Kohler reiterated the US commitment to regional peace and upholding a rules-based international order. Air Marshal Uddayani Rajapaksa hailed the new aircraft as a key addition to Sri Lanka's air power, helping to boost regional maritime security and humanitarian disaster response capabilities. The King Air aircraft, funded by the US Department of Defense, will soon undergo final preparations before joining Sri Lanka's Maritime Patrol Squadron 3 in China Bay, Trincomalee. Secretary to the Ministry of Mass Media, Ranjit Aryaratne, officially announced the commencement of the application process for the Presidential Media Award Ceremony 2024. The Secretary to the Ministry of Mass Media said this, speaking at a meeting held with media heads at the ministry premises recently.
විශේෂයෙන්ම මෙහිදී අපි ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨ 6ක් යටතේ සම්මාන ප්‍රදානය කරන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා. පුවත්පත් ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨයේ ඊයටතේ ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨ 7ක් වසරේ ප්‍රශස්ත ප්‍රවෘත්ති වාර්තාව, ප්‍රශස්ත ඡායාරූප වාර්තාව, ප්‍රශස්ත තීරුලිපිය, ප්‍රශස්ත කාටුන් නිර්මාණය, ප්‍රශස්ත පිටුසැලසුම, ප්‍රශස්ත විශේෂාංග ලිපිය, ප්‍රශස්ත ගවේෂණාත්මක පුවත. ඒ වගේම ගුවන්විදුලි ක්ෂේත්‍රයේ වසරේ ප්‍රශස්ත ප්‍රවෘත්ති වාර්තාව, ප්‍රශස්ත ප්‍රවෘත්ති ඉදිරිපත් කිරීම, ප්‍රශස්ත ගුවන්විදුලි වැඩසටහන, ප්‍රශස්ත ළමා වැඩසටහන, ප්‍රශස්ත ගවේෂණාත්මක වැඩසටහන සහ ප්‍රශස්ත අධ්‍යාපනික වැඩසටහන විදියට. ඒ වගේම රූපවාහිනී ක්ෂේත්‍රයේදී වසරේ ප්‍රශස්ත ප්‍රවෘත්ති වාර්තාව, වසරේ ප්‍රශස්ත ප්‍රවෘත්ති නිවේදනයේ, වසරේ ප්‍රශස්ත වැඩසටහන ඉදිරිපත් කිරීම, ප්‍රශස්ත ගවේෂණාත්මක වැඩසටහන, ප්‍රශස්ත වාර්තා වැඩසටහන, ප්‍රශස්ත සංවාදාත්මක වැඩසටහන, ප්‍රශස්ත අධ්‍යාපනික වැඩසටහන. ඒ වගේම වෙබ් අඩවි ක්ෂේත්‍රයේ පාදක කරගෙන ප්‍රශස්ත ප්‍රවෘත්ති වෙබ් අඩවිය, ප්‍රශස්ත වෙබ් වාර්තාකරණය, ප්‍රශස්ත බහුමාධ්‍ය භාවිතය සහ ප්‍රශස්ත බ්ලොග් රචක විදිහට අපි ඒ අංශයේ සම්මාන 4ක් ප්‍රදානය කරන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා. ඒ වගේම මාධ්‍ය පර්යේෂණ ක්ෂේත්‍රයේදී වසරේ ප්‍රශස්ත මාධ්‍ය පර්යේෂණ ශාස්ත්‍රීය කෘතියට සම්මාන ලබා දෙන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා. ඒ වගේම පාසල් මාධ්‍ය ක්ෂේත්‍රයේ වසරේ ප්‍රශස්ත පාසල් මාධ්‍ය ඒකකයේ සමාජයේ සංගමයේ සහ කවයේ කියලා අපි සම්මාන ප්‍රදානය කරන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා. මේ අනුව මේ ක්ෂේත්‍ර සියල්ලක්ම ආවරණය වෙන ආකාරයට තමයි අපි මේ සම්මාන ප්‍රදානය සිදු කරන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ භාෂා තුනෙම. එතකොට 60කට ආසන්න සංඛ්‍යාවක් සම්මානලාභීන් බවට පත් වෙනවා. භාෂා තුනේම මේ එක එක ක්ෂේත්‍ර අදාළව සම්මාන ලබන්නට මාධ්‍යවේදීන් සුදුසුකම් ලබනවා.
A new political party has entered Sri Lanka's political landscape just weeks ahead of a crucial general election. The United Democratic Voice, which was launched in Colombo recently, is led by actor-turned-politician Ranjan Ramanayake, promises a fresh and bold approach to governance. Ramanayake, popular for his anti-corruption stance, said the party is inspired by the people's demand for change following the recent presidential election results. Ramanayake emphasized that the UDV is built on 5 key pillars: an end to corruption, the creation of sustainable jobs, education, health and inclusivity. He stressed that the party will not adhere to a rigid ideology but will focus on addressing the real concerns of the people. Ramanayake also spoke about Sri Lanka's growing debt crisis, pledging that the UDV will renegotiate international loans and work closely with the private sector to generate jobs that will improve economic prosperity. The party aims to tackle the brain drain by creating better educational opportunities and ensuring a decent healthcare system with a focus on prevention. Ramanayake also promised to ensure gender equality in Parliament and strong accountability measure for its MPs. Stay tuned for stock update. Trading at Clump Stock Exchange ended on positive notes today.
The all share price index gained by 129.64 points to close at 12,294.03, and the S&P SL20 gained by 39.77 points to close at 3,640.65. The turnover was 2.3 billion rupees and over 81 million shares were traded.
Up next are forex rates. That's all our news for today. For this and more, subscribe to our channel on YouTube and follow us on Facebook. Take care and good night.